This is otherwise state champ Alex Thompson. This is Josh Elwer from the University of Northern Iowa, and you're listening to Potentially Dangerous on IA Wrestle.
Hey, is this heaven?
No, it's Iowa.
From high school to international wrestling, on the mat and beyond, this is the Potentially Dangerous podcast with the guys from IA Wrestle.
If you're a fighter, you like a fight. If you're an American, you like a fight. If you're an Iowa Hawkeye, you know you're going to get a fight.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and all your podcast-friendly apps. And follow us on social media platforms at IA Wrestle. Time to strap it up and get to the show. Welcome back to Potentially Dangerous, presented by MyHouse Sports Gear. Check out their website for all of your team needs. They are knocking out a ton of gear for all the teams around the country. They're knocking it out on social media, so if you want to know what they're all about, you can find them out on social media at MyHouse or on their website at myhousesportsgear.com. So let's get on to the show. We've got the three amigos back, the three kings, whatever you want to call us. Fresh as cabbage kings, whatever. I'm Tony Hager, Lars Underbakke, Ross Bartachek. How are we doing this evening? The Cubs could not get the deal done last night. I fell asleep. I'm not going to lie. I fell asleep. I knew I had to be up early with my son, but the Cubs are trying to get her done tonight. We're doing the podcast as the game goes on, and I saw the Cubs are already down.
The Major League Baseball, they're doing everything they can to derail our Night of Conflict event. I mean, it's one thing to put playoff baseball, which is going to get me all worked up, on Night of Conflict week, which I'm all worked up. But then they're doing it 8:30, 7:30 game start times. I don't know about you guys, but it's killing me. I gave up at midnight Monday night, so I guess I'm not a true fan because I went to bed.
I made it to like 12:30, so I totally crushed you two, but didn't quite make it all the way through 13, I guess.
An intense game to watch. I mean, I think the first game was awesome with the dinger in the 8th inning, and then the Cubs putting all the points up, and then last night, with the dinger to tie it up in the 8th, I believe it was. I mean, it's just a baseball playoff season is like nothing else. Any kind of professional league stuff, it really is better in the playoffs. I don't typically like to watch regular season. It's just ongoing. I wouldn't watch NFL if it wasn't for fantasy football. So, and I sure as heck ain't going to do fantasy NBA, so you can bet I'm not going to watch that till the playoffs. So, wow, we got a huge, huge weekend ahead of us. The Night of Conflict. It's officially here. We've been talking about it on our podcast all summer. You guys are probably bored, sick of talking about it. But no more after next week. Obviously, we'll recap it. But I was thinking today, as I was getting ready for work today, of how many hours probably combined all three of us have in this event. I mean, it's like 5-10 minutes here and there, but if you added it up, it's literally probably a full-time job for one person to probably put this event together, getting the kids involved, and then when the kids back out, you got to get them back in. I mean, this is officially to the moon, get it done, whistle blows at 7 o'clock. Are you guys feeling pretty good about our lineup here?
Up against a few things this year. It was a little bit tougher to get going from the start, but I think we came through at the end, and, I think we had a great lineup. I'm really excited about, all these matches. We got a lot of nationally ranked kids, ended up with kids coming from all over the country again, so I can't wait for that first match to get started Friday night.
It's definitely a grind. I forgot how much last year. I think we had the podcast last year saying, there's so much work that the three of us put in, but then, you kind of forget about it. You get all excited. Fargo was here, and we're like, oh, we need to get this kid. And now I'm just like, oh, man, I'm ready for Friday night. I'm ready for it to be here. Just kind of relax and just watch it all on the mat.
Really, we're going to get into the matches here a little bit later, but at the end of the day, really, we weren't hurt from Super 32 as much as I thought we were when we first got into this. We have probably a tougher card as far as the highly ranked guys in the dual as last year. You had Marinelli, you had some of these big Hawkeye recruits. We don't have those guys this year, but it's a more of a non-Hawkeye flavor, I guess you could say. Costello more than likely looking towards being Iowa City here soon, but I'm not for sure if any other guys on this roster will be an Iowa Hawkeye. So time will tell. But with some housekeeping issues. If you don't follow us on social media today, we announced that Matt McDonough will be taking on Brett Metcalf at the Night of Conflict for coaching. Last year, Ramos went up against Metcalf, and it was really fun atmosphere. Ross, I know you were on the call, and Lars, you were in the tunnel, and there's a couple of shots that we were able to capture of Metcalf laughing and Ramos laughing. I have a feeling that McDonough and Metcalf have a really good relationship, that this is going to be some nice little chirping on the side of the mat that we're going to get to see.
I kind of liked it how last year Ramos showed up in his Sunday best, and Metcalf just kind of came to hang out and have a good time. Ramos had a good time, but Metcalf just looked like, I don't know what, he just looked relaxed, comfortable, put up a huge win, which Lars is the man that's putting together the lineup. So I'm putting everyone on notice that, Lars, hopefully you put together a good team, because I don't want McDonough coming after us saying we always stack the team for Metcalf every year.
I plead the fifth on that. That's not easy to do either. We got, 3 different sets of teammates from Iowa, got 3 kids from Missouri, 3 kids from Illinois. We're trying to not only make the lineups even, but, let some of these teammates be together, have their fun together and stuff like that. So it's fun to put together, but hopefully it'll be a close duel. We'll see. McDonough's just going to have to coach him up a little bit, I guess.
Next year, if there's a way that we can somehow get these teams put together, or the matches put together, I really want to put together like a fantasy type draft, a snake draft where these coaches, we won't actually tell who's first pick, because that would be kind of mean to figure out who was the last to get picked, but we'll know who had first pick, and we'll actually draft these teams. So I think that would be kind of fun. There'd only be, let's say there's 10 matches, they'd only pick 10 guys. Once that weight's done, but we'll figure that out. That might be a fun little way to do that, so we don't have our hand in these teams as well. But, another thing that's going to happen at Night of Conflict that we haven't talked about, Randy Lewis. Randy Lewis is a guy that is really on the sidelines for a lot of Hawkeye events, all wrestling events. Likes to have a hell of a time after the duels and tournaments, and got tons of stories. We tried to get Royce Alger to be at the event, but he has his son's football game. So Randy Lewis will be honored prior to the duel as well for a little bit. Sandy Stevens will be on the microphone. Heavy hitters coming in, and tons of D1 coaches. Ross, you were going through the media list this week. Today a little bit. I know Bono is coming. Simpson College is coming. Wartburg's coming. Obviously the Hawkeyes will come. Who else have you seen that is wanting to get into the Night of Conflict for coaching wise?
Schwab's coming. He's bringing somebody. Undecided on his second guy he's bringing. Coe's bringing 3 coaches. North Dakota State said they'd let us know. I can't remember if I'd have to look back on that one. And there was, Grandview's, of course, bringing people. Grandview likes to have their presence known in the state. So
I think Loris is bringing their new coaches as well. We got Miller and Kettleson coming.
Loris, BV's coming, Buena Vista.
Pretty much all the Iowa schools, Morningside, Cornell, Loris, Wartburg, like you said. Yeah, Morningside, that's a team that really supports us a lot. They're always retweeting our stuff. So excited to see those guys in the house. And as far as media goes, this is the type of stuff that excites me, I guess, and people supporting what we're trying to do. Andy Hamilton's going to be in the house. Bryce Villa from the Open Mat. Obviously, the Flow guys are going to be there. I haven't heard if Intermat is coming, but some local journalists hopefully will be able to skip football and come cover our event. So definitely some buzz coming around the event, which is what we want to see for the kids in Iowa. It's just such a great opportunity to be at Carver-Hawkeye Arena. We don't know how much longer we're going to be able to do the event at Carver, so hopefully that will continue, but if at some point we can't do it at Carver anymore, the Night of Conflict will definitely live on at a different venue. So, what else we got? The Blood Round. Blood Round's coming in. I think you mentioned that a while back. Tommy Baranowski from the Blood Round.
Definitely bears repeating.
Yeah, so he's bunking up with me, and hopefully it's an early night because we got wrestling gets underway at 9 o'clock in the morning for the Conflict at Carver, which I just looked right before this podcast, guys. We've got over 550 kids registered for the Conflict right now, and from what I'm being told, there are some that aren't on track. It's kids that are registered, but they're not paid. So Nate and Luke have decided to cap the tournament this year, which is great news, at 600. So if you are listening to this podcast today, and if you haven't registered for the Conflict at Carver, you need to do so right away because this thing will get capped at 600 to try to get everything set in one day. Next year, I think we're going to get this sucker 2 days, guys. I don't know about you, but this thing is growing fast. Night of Conflict is growing fast, so let's get this thing to a 2-day event.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
We were talking 2 weeks ago now, or no, I was talking to Laura when it was just me, and I said, that Conflict at Carver, that's where you get some big marquee wins and you put yourself on the map where, that's how you get, Night of Conflict invites. Put yourself out there and make a name for yourself.
Well, that's where he caught our eye last year because we were obviously there to, we were watching Teskey and he, Townsell, wasn't it Gabe? Him and Gabe Townsell wrestled each other.
He beat Townsell, and then he came back and beat Drew West in third place match.
Yeah, so I really feel like that kind of just gave him a lot of confidence going into the upcoming season for an Ultimate State title. And we made a post today, Rosh, you made a post that we had, 20 of the wrestlers that wrestled the Night of Conflict last year went on to be a state champ. So that's a pretty great stat. There were 16 total matches, so there were 20 state champs in there. Almost every single kid placed at their state tournament besides the girls. So they don't have their own girls state tournament, unfortunately. But
yep, 3 of them went on to win their 4th state title. But we did, Rachel Waters might not have wrestled at the state tournament, but she won a national title. So did Gremmel. So yeah, I mean, when you look back on this first class of the Night of Conflict, I think maybe even this next year, we're going to see some college results. And, when we talk about Night of Conflict 3, we're going to be able to look back, and I think we're going to see a lot of nice things about the kids that have wrestled in our event, and just kind of shows the quality the matches we're putting on, guys.
Well, let's get to it. The matches are up on Night of Conflict. You can click on the tab at iawrestle.com, and you can get the lineup right there of how this event's going to get started. Doors open at 6. Tickets will be available. We had some questions on that. Tickets definitely will be available at the door, but if you could do us a favor, if you know you're going to go, just order a ticket ahead of time. That way we know that we can plan ahead and that you're coming and have plenty of people there to accommodate and make it a smooth entrance. But if you're a last minute type of person, want to make that decision, I don't know why you would decide to go to a high school football game over a high school wrestling duel. If you're listening to this podcast, I know you're a wrestling fan, so just don't even think about it. Let's make it happen. Night of Conflict, kick the season off right, support these guys that are going to be the future stars, are the stars of our sport. First match of the night, Carter Cox versus Noah Fye. This was a match that we were not going to have. It just kind of really fell into our lap. We were talking about it behind the scenes, and Carter Cox on social media really is the one that pushed it really hard. He wanted to have it happen, a grudge match. Noah Phi pinned Cox down in Corning, Iowa earlier in the season at the John Harris tournament, I believe it was. And then Carter Cox beat him when it counted at the state wrestling tournament. So I don't even want to make a pick here. I feel like Noah Phi has, since he's got that fall over him, he's going to have a little bit of an upper hand. But Cox has got a lot of confidence right now getting it done at the state wrestling tournament. What are your guys' your thoughts on that? The public thinks too on the voting. 65% of the public is on Noah Phi over Carter Cox, who's got 34% of the votes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. This might not be two big-time national guys, but it was a great opportunity to bring in two Iowa studs. Like I say, it's kind of a grudge match. There was a lot of chirping going back and forth on social media, not so much Phi, but, teammates like Millage were standing up for him, and Carter Cox was ready for it. He wanted this match again. Phi might have a bigger resume in most people's eyes, but Carter Cox beat him the last time they wrestled, and he wants it again. He was ready for it, so I think it's going to be a great match. Cox wants to get his name out there. He wants to be, a big time recruit. So this is a real good opportunity for him to try to knock off Phi again, live on Flow in front of all these fans, and prove that he's just as good as all these other kids in Iowa.
We did kind of talk about this a couple weeks ago, I think, Lars. And it was, the state semis when I was just kind of looking at him at the state tournament, and I kind of had already figured Phi was going to win that match there in Wells Fargo. And, Cox just kind of really surprised me. I didn't see him coming. If I had to make a pick, I'd still probably lean Phi, but I think it's going to be a great match. I don't think it's going to be something where Phi's going to win handily, even though he's got, like Tony said, that big win in their first meeting. But if I had to put my money down, I guess, I wouldn't bet on a high school match probably, but if I had to, I probably think I'd lean Phi in this match.
That'd be insane if you could gamble on high school wrestling events. I have heard rumblings of people doing stuff with high school football during playoffs, which is just ridiculous. That might be just some fathers just taking it a little bit too far. But so yeah, with all these guys that we're going to be talking to, you can vote for your guy, who you're supporting. Again, Noah Phi has 65% of the votes. Carter Cox has 34%, and some change there. Obviously, it doesn't round up to 100, so don't want anybody flaming me for not having 100% voting correct, like the Donald Trump and Clinton fiasco we have on the internet right now. So next matchup, guy you just talked to last week on Potentially Dangerous, Tristan Lara from Fort Dodge, state champ, not nationally ranked. I think he will get there with middle of the season. Unfortunately, he doesn't wrestle a lot of national tournaments based off Iowa high school rules they have for travel. He's taken on Missouri's number 15 Nico Chavez, and right now, as far as the voting goes, guys, Chavez, this is a really close one. Almost 300 votes. Nico's got 57% of the votes, so I think some people might be clicking on this because of the ranking, but this is going to be, Lara's, I guess, coming out party against a nationally ranked guy. He obviously wrestles good at Carver. We saw last year, so he wanted to wrestle in this event last year. So this, I think, is a really good opportunity for him, and also an opportunity for Nico to come up and show Iowa people what he's all about. Yeah,
I think, like I said, Lara really opened our eyes last year. Coming in and beating West, beating Townsville, who were the two guys that we had in the night of conflict. And he was ready for it. He showed us he was ready for a big-time match like this. He went on to win a state title. He's had a really good year. And this is his chance to be on that big stage, I guess, Friday night, and really prove to everybody that he's ready to be nationally ranked. I agree that that he is. I mean, I think he is capable of being a top 20 guy. I think he can find his way in there. And, I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him. I haven't seen Chavez as much, but obviously a tough kid, got some really good accolades. So it'll be interesting to see this style matchup here and see how it goes. But I think Lara's got a great chance at coming through this match.
Oh, man. I was, legitimately trying to, pick my favorite match and, try and find some sneaky good ones. But, I mean, I feel like I'm tooting our own horn when I say that we have a lot of really good matches. So I think this is going to be a really good matchup. If I had to pick, I'm probably going to go with Nico in this match. But, we've talked about Lara showed up, when the lights were on last year, he beat both guys that were in our event and the next day at the tournament. But like Lars is saying, Nico's got that. He's coming in with these credentials. He's a solid wrestler. He doesn't wrestle a lot in Missouri. He just kind of really goes to all those national events. So he's a proven commodity, I think. And, I'm probably leaning the Missouri guy here.
So those two matches will get the night started, and then we'll kick off our women's bout. We weren't going to lose this flavor. From what I know, we were one of the first ones to ever showcase a women's match at a premier event like this, sideline, with the boys. So that's something that we're obviously proud about, and what it has done is it's created this buzz around this big match on Friday night. Is the conflict at Carver the next day is the largest turnout for girls wrestling in Iowa history. And that was last week, I think I tweeted out. So I don't even know what the numbers are now. So this is a big event, not only for our matchup, which is, cadet world champ, cadet world runner-up, Rana Heaton versus Elena Vederick from Norwalk. She's got some folks, 3-time USA folk style national runner-up, Fargo All-American. So this matchup between these two gals is obviously the credentials go to Heaton, but seeing Heaton, she came last year. She came last year to the conflict, and I think did she lose at the conflict? I feel like there was a match that she was either pushed or she lost. I should probably correct myself, but I'm almost positive that Rana gave up a tough match. Do you guys remember?
I couldn't tell you. Nope.
I know Rachel.
Yeah.
I know Rachel Waters ended up, pending her loss that she had at the night of conflict the night before. Anyways, this is I think a good opportunity to showcase women's wrestling on a big stage again. Cadet world champ, being able to get someone of her caliber in here. She put it on the line overseas. She wrestled both. So she's got an overwhelming 69% of the votes. But I've been talking to Elena's mom and Elena, and they weren't going to shy away from the match. So I'm excited that she took it, and we'll be able to showcase that. And guy we alluded to early in the year, he's taken some visits to Iowa, and Gardner Webb, he's got that on his radar. Really heavy lean towards the Hawkeye, so I think some Iowa Hawkeye fans are excited that he's going to be at Carver. Aaron Costello will be taking on number 13 Sammy Evans. Right now, as far as the voting goes, this one's really close too. 53% on Costello, 47% on Evans. So that was one of was that our first match or second match that we actually announced? Do you guys remember?
Second, I think.
Second match. So, Evans is the guy here coming in number 10 ranking, 3-time state champ from Tennessee. And, Costello is that guy that, Lars, you got a bunch of grief for not putting him on the Fab 50 rankings, but he definitely earned his keep in the Fab 50 that you're working on right now, hasn't he? He's going to be up in the above the top 40, top 30 maybe even. I know you haven't finalized him yet, but he's making some gains with being a Fargo All-American.
Yeah, he's another one of those kids that's really didn't have a huge year his freshman year, huge year his sophomore year. He was real solid wrestler, but wasn't able to place at state, and then all of a sudden just busted out over the last year. You know, he got second last year, state tournament, went out and was a Fargo All-American, had some really nice wins over the summer, and has really just dedicated himself to the sport. Like I say, he's on these D1 coaching radars right now. He's doing really well. So, yeah, he'll be firmly inside that top 50 on the next go-around. And, again, this is, you know, we kind of talked, or I hit on it with Laura, but this is another kid who's chomping at the bit to get into this event, to get a, you know, highly ranked national kid and prove himself to everybody that he was ready for that stage. So, you know, I know Costello's going to come in ready to go. It's going to be a tough draw. You know, Sam Evans, I think he's, number 10 now. So he's, you know, a very experienced kid. He's coming all the way here. He doesn't want to come all the way to Iowa City to lose. But Costello's going to put up a fight, and I expect it to be a close match. Costello
is one of those guys that was ranked, you know, I think going into Fargo maybe. I think he was like number 17 or something in Flo's rankings. So he's a guy that's right on the cusp of those rankings. I'm really looking forward to this heavyweight matchup. I think it's, you know, last year we had two guys that were just phenomenal upper weights with Ethan Anderson, Gannon Gremmel. Both of them just really handled themselves well at our first event. But I think this is going to be a fantastic heavyweight matchup for us.
Costello is definitely going to have to slow Evans down. I've watched it a little bit since this matchup has been announced. Learn a little bit more about Costello. You know, Evans is really, I would say, a lot quicker. He's able to get a lot more shots off from the open. So Costello's really going to have to try to slow him down and dig into those underhooks if he's going to want to try to slow him down. You know, try to slow him down and not give up a lot of points. But you know, Evans, you know, he definitely is going to. He's number 10th. He's moved up in the rankings since we, you know, announced this matchup. So I'm excited about having a heavyweight bout. Moving on to the next match, kid that was just distraught from losing last year. He lost to Portillo, and I just feel ever since there's a picture of him like on his knees and he's like, you know, almost praying. He just felt like it was so close. Aiden Reeves, Albia, Iowa. Didn't have a good state wrestling tournament last year either. He was one of like the highest touted freshmen that Iowa has seen for a while, other than Colin Shraver. Obviously, from this year, he's taken on number 5 Connor Brown from Missouri, another Missouri kid, 3-time Missouri state champ. Yeah, what do you guys think about this matchup? Do you like this Brown versus Reeves more than Portillo Reeves type of deal? I mean, Reeves is still kind of giving up a little bit of experience to Brown. He's still a lot younger than Brown like he was to Portillo last year.
Yeah, I think it'll be another great test for Aiden. You know, like you say, he didn't have the state tournament he wanted, but he did go out and place again at Fargo. He's a 3-time All-American now. I think, you know, a lot of people nationally have an idea who he is, but maybe he hasn't quite put the results in to be top 20 yet. But he's definitely capable of being in that mix as only a sophomore right now. So this is another chance for him, you know, against a top-ranked kid, 3-time state champ. You know, and Reeves has been all over the place. You know, this kid wrestles a lot. So I'm not extremely worried about, you know, maybe experience being a factor or anything like that. But we also do have to remember that Aiden Reeves wrestled 106 last year. He's coming up quite a bit in weight. So I'll be interested to see, you know, just how big he's gotten right now, and if that size, you know, difference or how much he's come up will make a difference heading into this year.
Yeah, I think, you know, it was how Portillo used his strength last year against Reeves, just kind of just knowing, you know, that savvy veteran, I guess you could call it, using his experience against Reeves, just kind of overwhelmed him. Coming into this match, you know, Reeves is obviously, he's grown into that 120. I think, I mean, a lot better than he was at that 113 weight for us in last year's event. So I think he's definitely better suited to his weight. Connor Brown comes in number 12 in the nation. So he's still technically even a little bit better than the talent-wise than Portillo, even though Portillo ended the year in the national rankings as well. But I think, he's a guy that he's ready to break into the rankings, and he's going to come in prepared. I got to talk to Connor Brown. I know he's kind of started to feel out, from some of his teammates that have wrestled Aiden. He's starting to get a picture on how he wants to wrestle this match. So I think we got two guys that are hungry for a win and really want to get this. They both have talked about getting a win in Carver, and I think that's really important to both of these guys.
I was, Lars, when you sent me the list of the list of how you wanted the matches to go, or our initial list, I kind of thought like this would be maybe towards the top a little bit more, but it does lack maybe that national powerhouse that we do have, top heavy. But because I feel like this is going to be a match where we don't know who the clear winner is going to be. Not that we know who the winners are, but like I wouldn't say that Brown's a huge favorite here. I think Reeves' Fargo performance maybe lowered him in the rankings a little bit, but this is going to be a fan. Everyone's in Iowa are going to be heavy on this match because Aiden is an easy guy to like. I feel there's over 300 votes that have come in. 51% are on Connor Brown, so this is going to be a match based off of votes. You could say is going to be a tight one. So moving on, next match. Had an opportunity to talk to Joel Shapiro on Takedown Radio a couple weeks ago. Very humble kid, very quiet kid. Opened up a little bit towards the end of the show. He's going to be taking on Illinois Danny Brownigal. His brother, I believe, is in the rankings as well. Danny's ranked 17th now in the latest Flow rankings. Was 18th. So this is a matchup between a couple state medalists here. What are your thoughts on getting to see Shapiro again after a really good Fargo experience?
Yeah, I know we talked a lot at the beginning of the summer too about how much he's grown. Shapiro's really put on some muscle, put on some weight, and proved that he can wrestle up there. He went out and All-American at Fargo. He's another kid that's going to be sliding up quite a ways, probably on that Fab 50 list. He just kind of keeps climbing. Yet to win that elite title, but he's, a multiple time state place winner, Fargo All-American. So, he's going to be ready to go again. It kind of seems like a theme so far here tonight, but some of these kids that aren't quite ranked nationally, maybe. I believe Shapiro was at one point, but taking on some nationally ranked kid that gives them a chance to put themselves out there to prove that they deserve to be in those rankings. And, I think it's going to be a really good matchup as well. I think they're pretty evenly matched, and, Shapiro's got a chance to put himself back into that top 20.
Oh, man, Shapiro, he was one of the guys I was gunning for to get in the event this year. So I'm probably a little bit, maybe you could call me biased, but I wanted Shapiro in this event because I liked what I saw. Even though he had a rough state tournament, he had a really great summer that just, phenomenal results that just a guy that really deserved a spotlight match. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him match up with Bronigal. I think Tony already mentioned that he's wrestled his brother, so should be a really fun match, I think.
Yeah, Joel's been that kind of like a real skinny, lanky type of kid, and he really has come into his own, and he's starting to get a lot of looks. I think Grandview's pretty heavy on him. Grandview's pretty heavy on a kid that we're going to talk about here in a little bit as well. But, Joel, if Joel could put on a little bit more muscle, I think he's going to get a little bit more looks, win this match, and he'll get a little bit more looks for some D1 schools. So let's move on to our next match. This boy is traveling a long, long ways to wrestle in the Night of Conflict. I don't even remember how I got this kid to come to Iowa, but his dad's super cool. JJ Figueroa, number 9 from Bakersfield, California, is going to be taking on Zach Barnes, who is going to make weight for our event. Zach Barnes from Southeast Polk. This is going to be another great match where Zach Barnes is yet again going to be able to have that opportunity to prove that he is a big commitment. D1, D2, NAI, D3. He has an opportunity to prove that he's going to be a top college wrestler. So what are your guys' thoughts first on JJ Figueroa? Because I don't think a lot of people know a lot about that name. What do you guys know about JJ?
What I know, he's a folk style All-American, medaled at the Doc Buchanan, which is one of the tougher in-season folk style tournaments. It's up there with Beast of the East. That's a pretty popular one out east. Walsh Ironman's kind of the big central of the United States folk style tournament, and then Doc Buchanan's the big one out west. So he's medaled there. He's a state medalist in 2015, which we all know California, they just got one class, so it's really difficult to come through, especially for the younger guys to get a medal so early on in their career. So I am really excited that, like you said, somebody out in Bakersfield, California, they know our event and they're excited to come and wrestle in it. That tells me a lot that somebody wants to come that far away, come compete. So I'm really excited about JJ coming.
And we're not paying him to come. We can't pay these kids to fly. So I mean, kudos to the dad club, whoever is getting him out here. I'm just, that's awesome that they're coming. Sorry, Lars, go ahead.
No, you're right. I'm excited. I think it's great that JJ is coming out here. I think it's great that we're going to have somebody from the West Coast, kind of build a presence a little bit more out there. He's a tough kid. This is going to be a real hard match for Barnes, kind of in that same vein. Barnes has been climbing. Everybody knows kind of the story if they've been listening to our podcast about, missing weight at Fargo, having to go up a weight, rattles off, 7 straight wins to become an All-American. It's a real tough kid. Shapiro's in that mix. He's a probably top 30 kid in the Fab 50 rankings in Iowa. Got a chance to make a name for himself, but this one's going to be a tough out. I think it could be a good match, but he's gonna have to come in ready. I think Figueroa is going to come in a pretty heavy favorite here. Both of these
kids started at light weights and really have grown a lot. So it'll be interesting to see, who really now is, who will be stronger, I guess. I mean, I've watched some of their matches. I do feel like Barnes is a little bit more developed than JJ, so I think he might have a little bit of a strength advantage on him. So it's going to be, that will be definitely an interesting match. What do you guys think when you listened to my interview with Zach? Hopefully you guys listened, but of him taking the elastic out of his singlet. I've never heard of somebody doing that before. I mean, when I was around wrestling, you could weigh in your singlet. You'd weigh in your underwear, and sometimes you didn't even do that. Obviously, you can't do that in today's world. So, cutting the elastic out of something, I think that is really genius. But obviously, he got caught.
I was wondering if it was going to make an appearance this Friday. That singlet.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really have any technical rules, I guess. I mean, I think it'd be hilarious if he did show up with that. From what I've been told, he's going to be on weight. So it's kind of a catch weight event too. For people that don't know, that we are having weights that are just kind of like a catch weight, close to where they're going to be in high school. But so these guys do have to weigh in, and the weigh-ins are good for the next day for the conflict. So big match for Barnes, Southeast Polk, former Waukee Warrior. Next matchup is going to be our first clash between two kids that aren't from Iowa, no real ties to Iowa, just two kids that wanted to be in the event. We had Anthony Madrigal set up for a long time, and he was actually supposed to wrestle Roman Bravo Young, but Roman backed out after the Cadet World Championships for whatever reason. Actually, I never got a reason. So we were able to lock in Kyron Hagen. Ross, I think you were the one that would lock this in. So when you called Hagen, you said, "Hey, you don't have too far to go. But we've got a really kind of a Midwest matchup here between Anthony Madrigal, who's from Oak Park River Forest, against Hagen, obviously from Missouri. So number 5 Madrigal versus Hagen, who's number 6. So this is can't get really any better.
No, this is legitimately battling for a spot. Called up the Hagens and said, hey, I got, Anthony looking for a match. And they said, they were really considering Super 32. And actually, if you look at, Flo had it and Internet had it. They kind of posted Hagen in there in their previews. And I kind of reached out to both guys, both people that wrote their previews and said, hey, just so you know, Hagen's decided to skip the Super 32, which is, it's incredible to have somebody believe in your event, something like that, to come in and get a match where they feel like that's what's best for them and that's what's going to help them the most going forward in their recruiting and their, resume building in preparation for the season. They view this as what's the best option for them. So really excited to bring Hagen into the event. And I'm just glad they kind of stepped up and answered the call for a challenge against the number 5 kid.
Yeah, it's not too often, like you say. We thought we had a match lined up for a long time for Madrigal. So this one really came to fruition really late in the process. And to be able to get a kid of Hagen's caliber at that point was just huge. I know we were a little concerned of what we'd be able to find. And when Ross, sent over the message and said he had Hagen, I think we were all, really excited for this matchup. The rankings prove that they're going to be close. It should be a great match to, nationally known kids. And I just think this is going to be an awesome, awesome match. And I'm excited to see them both, up close and live right in front of us there. So
both are multiple Fargo freestyle All-Americans. Hagen's got some Greco background as well, so maybe we might be seeing some high flying from Hagen. Hopefully, he can maybe get us some throws in there. But the public right now voting on Hagen pretty hard. 58% of the votes are on Hagen to take this match. So that's definitely that's interesting to see. Lower ranked wrestler getting the votes. I know Missouri has been pumping the heck out of the website, so that's great. Thank you for everybody from Missouri for supporting the site and who's coming up for the night of conflict and the whole weekend of conflict at Carver. Next matchup, there's Drew Bennett, Fort Dodge. Another kid, honestly, that last year we with Brody Teskey, there's so many hammers at Fort Dodge. We thought it was kind of like an unproven commodity, I guess, because he was behind Teskey. Didn't have, we didn't know how he was going to handle this year, but obviously proved himself. He's really kind of on that cusp as well. Not ranked nationally, but we gave him this match with Dylan D'Amelio. D'Amelio is number 3 in the country right now, cadet world team member. So this will be probably Bennett's toughest match that he's had in a while. But he has an opportunity to, if he wants to be in the rankings, this is the type of match that he has to take. And that's what I liked about him. Him and his dad taking this match is there was lots of people that we tried to get, honestly, we tried to get to this match, and they all turned it down, didn't want to wrestle Dylan. I won't mention any of their names, but for Drew to take this match kind of last minute, he's bumping up some weight to wrestle Dylan too. So kudos to Drew Bennett for taking this match, and I'm hoping that they've done some homework and this is going to be a battle, guys.
Yeah, I know. We've all talked about Bennett. He's been a name that we've kicked around, with this event coming up, but didn't really have a spot for him. It was just, like I said, great for him to not hesitate. He was ready for this match. He was ready to take on whoever we put in front of him just to be in the event. And it's going to be a tough one. Like I say, hopefully Bennett's ready. I know he's been putting the work in, trying to get ready, but D'Amelio, he's as good as they come. You're top 3 in the country. You're a world team member. This is a really, really tall task for Bennett to come in here and try to do this. But, he's got a lot of fans. He's going to have the support from the Iowa folks. So hopefully, Drew's ready to wrestle and can come in and make it a great match.
Yeah, so one of the top ranked wrestlers we have in the event, Dylan D'Amelio. Props to Dad, Don, for sticking with us and coming to the event. multiple times. I think they kind of didn't want to coming clear from Ohio. So it's another East Coast guy doing a lot of travel to come to Carver-Hawkeye Arena. So it's definitely a kid that I had my eyes on since the Cadet World Championships. Actually, last year I wanted to get him in this event. So thank you to Milios for coming to the event. Next matchup, Jason Renteria. This is somebody that we had in the event last year. He was OW at the Conflict at Carver. Huge match against Jack Wagner at the buzzer. And he'll be taking on Michael Millage from New Hampton, two-time state finalist. Won the title back in 2015. So he's just been, since that title though, guys. He really he's gotten to the big match, but he hasn't got it done. So do you guys think that, one, can he get a match against Renteria? Has he gotten some of those cobwebs out? And two, has his new home at New Hampton, is that going to propel him to new heights for not only this match but for the upcoming season?
Yeah, Millage is a tough kid. Along those lines of Bennett, this was another one that he just wanted to be in the event. He didn't really care who it was. He's willing to go up a little bit in weight, take on Renteria, who's been as high as number 1 in the nation, and he didn't hesitate. He was ready for whoever we put in front of him. He was ready for Renteria, so he's going to come in ready to wrestle. He's going to do anything he can, but again, it's going to be a tall task. We've seen Renteria. He was obviously an Iowa commit before, and more than anything, I'm kind of interested to see a little bit of what the crowd does with Renteria as an introduction here. If there's any people there that aren't real happy to see Renteria back in Carver-Hawkeye Arena after decommitment.
Geez, Lars, you didn't tell me when Millage was signing up that he would wrestle anybody. If I would have known that, we just would have thrown him out there against you.
Cresco boys pitted back against each other. That would have been a little bit of a weight jump.
Well, he's not afraid to go up. I think that, if you look at any of those, Elite Takedown, New Hampton, they're always tweeting, Mike isn't afraid to go up and face anybody. So I'm just having fun. Don't come after me.
Renteria, huge favorite here. 70% of the votes too as well. So, but this could be one of those opportunities for Millage though that Renteria really maybe he might look past Millage. Yeah, you don't know. He's not going to be. Last year there was a lot of hype because he was going to be an Iowa Hawkeye. He was committed to be an Iowa Hawkeye, and it'll be interesting to kind of see how the fans. Because let's be real. A lot of Hawkeye fans in Iowa City, obviously. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of receive Renteria coming to the mat.
Yeah, and don't sleep on Millage either. He's only a junior. Obviously, college coaches just started contacting not too long ago, but he's got some awfully good visits set up already, and he's squarely on that D1 radar as well. So college coaches are high on this kid as well. So he's definitely an underdog, but he's more than capable of coming in and making this a great match.
Next match, recent commit, Max Lyon. This is somebody that I wasn't for sure if we were going to get. I wasn't for sure if he was out for football. Once you get up in these upper weight classes, you really never know, guys. Who's actually out for football, who's not. I didn't think Gertz was out for football. Turns out he is. He had to back out because of football reasons. But anyways, to the match, Max Lyon, number 18 in the country. He's going to be taking on A.J. Pedro from Massachusetts. Another guy traveling a long ways, number 16. And Max Lyon is a guy that I just want to continue to see more of. I feel like he's not flashy, but I feel like he just gets the job done. I do feel like he needs to get maybe a little bit more flashy or take a little bit more risk from his feet. I just and I'm kind of hoping. I feel like he's going to have to against AJ Pedro. He's going to have to come out and not just be a hammer, but be somebody that's quick and goes their shots right away, because this will be a tough match for Max.
Yeah, Ross hit on earlier. He was trying to go through some of the matches and see what he thought were maybe some sneaky matches, things like that. These guys are ranked in the lower half of the rankings. They're not our top guys, but to me, this is one of the best matches of the whole night. I'm super excited for this. And, you bring up a pretty good point about Lion. And he's going to have to open up, because I don't know if you guys have ever watched AJ Pedro, but this kid is gonna score some points, and fans are going to like watching him wrestle. He's going to come with his offense and be ready to roll. So I think there's going to be a lot of highlights in this match. I think this could end up being pretty high scoring. I think it's going to be just a phenomenal match. I'm not sure if I favor one kid over the other. I really think that this is truly maybe one of the best matches on the whole card.
If Lion doesn't go to his shots, though, it's gonna get bad, ugly. I think it will be. But if Lion is that one of those type of kids that I feel like he's almost got to get the first takedown to open up, and if he gets taken down first, you could be in trouble fast against some of these higher ranked kids. Ross, what do you think?
Maybe he's just gonna have to bully him around the mat and get some push outs.
There you go.
But I think Lion's he's definitely going to have to open up. Something we saw him do in the junior duels when he beat Jelani Embry, a guy that was at Who's Number One. That's, obviously a pretty big event when it's got a name like that. So Lion's got potential to beat these top guys at this weight. It's kind of more of a consistency and, like you said, opening up early. So I think he's definitely got the potential to come out and get this win over AJ. I will also mention that you said he's a recent commit to Purdue. Kind of talked with his family a little bit leading up to the event, and I know Max is extremely excited to be a part of the Purdue family. They're really excited to just kind of have that recruiting pressure off their plate. They're coming into the event. They're, now they can focus on this and then get ready for the high school season to start. So Max Lyon's fired up to be a Boilermaker, joining a former Hawk out there in West Lafayette, Indiana, and I'm super pumped for this match too.
Public is heavy on Max Lyon. He's got 75% of the votes right now on the voting, the polls. So heavy Max Lyon fans out there. Is it really? I mean, you can't really hate Max Lyon though. I mean, it's like a little puppy bear. He's just
yeah. Max is a great kid, and people sleep on Massachusetts. It's not a great wrestling state, but I'm telling you right now, fans are going to love watching AJ Pedro. Don't sleep on this kid. He's exciting to watch, and it really will be a great match.
What was the one-liner that Lyon had when he was on the podcast? Like something about Sharon Stink. Oh. Lars, do you remember when he was talking about Fargo Teen Camp? God dang it. I was hoping you'd remember.
Sharon Stink? I don't remember.
Yeah. It was something about, like they were all, a really close team, Iowa. And, oh, man, I wish I could remember because it was just Max Lyon is a gold mine if you talk to him. He is just genuinely funny guy, doesn't have to force it. Great sense of humor. It's hard to not like Max Lyon.
Hopefully he'll get the W for fans in here at Iowa. Obviously, they're picking him to win and get an opportunity to interview him after the match, which we'll have. Good.
Sorry, I was just gonna say he's got a big Friday. I mean, he could win Western Dubuque, Homecoming King, and get a top 20 win all in the same day. So he's got a pretty big day ahead of him.
Yeah, he literally could be the king before he comes to try to be the king of Carver. So, Max Lyon, if you do become the homecoming king, you have to bring the crown with you at weigh-ins, and then we'll just use that crown for everybody that wins or something. I don't know, but definitely bring the crown if you win. We'll be rooting for you. If we could, do the votes, we'd vote for you. Max Lyon, awesome kid. Purdue gets another good one out of the state of Iowa. So, next matchup, a kid who I really like. I have an opportunity to talk to him a lot a bit, talking about trying to get him a match, texting back and forth, and landed him, Jamie Hernandez, who is number 4 in the country at 138 pounds, bumping up a little bit here, 3-time Fargo All-American, UWW cadet team runner-up. He's going to be taking on the number 4 ranked wrestler, Caden Gfeller from Oklahoma, Illinois. This is the first time I believe we've had a boy from Oklahoma in the event. I don't think there was anybody from Oklahoma last year, so getting a little of that Oklahoma flavor, some of the top wrestling states in the country to come to the Night of Conflict. So that's a first. Obviously, a very heavy Oak Park River Forest event, but they got a hell of a team, so why not get them? But Hernandez coming in the match. This is which I think will be the most exciting match. I'm excited to see Max Lyon, like you said, but this one is definitely my favorite. I like the lighter weight guys. Caden, put on a show. Who's number 1? But didn't get what he wanted at that event. But this Hernandez matchup, obviously with the rankings the way they're sitting, with Feller up at 45, I think this is going to be a exciting matchup that Hernandez is going to have to use his open shots to get to, because Caden's just going to overpower him a little bit. So, what are you guys' thoughts on the match?
Completely agree that Feller's strength's going to be probably what this match comes down to. I think, that who's number 1 match, he had Jared Verkleeren, an Iowa State commit, so we were all kind of pretty engaged in that match. And you could just kind of see that Verkleeren was maybe just a little bit stronger than him, just kind of got him out of his game because he wasn't able to overpower something I think Feller is really used to. So if Hernandez can come in, if power is one of his strengths of his wrestling game, I think that's going to kind of negate what Feller tries to do. So that could make it a little more interesting. But I don't know. The more I watch this Oklahoma kid wrestle, I'm just more and more impressed. I'm really blown away by how good of a recruit Oklahoma State got.
Yeah, and I think Caden's going to come in with a little chip on his shoulder. Like you said, things definitely did not go his way at who's number 1. He's a dynamite wrestler, though. He's as good as they come. I was shocked to see him go down maybe by that much to Verkleeren. So I think he's going to come in hitting on all cylinders. I think you could see some high flying action in this one, and Hernandez is going to have to really take advantage of any opportunities in front of him, because I think Caden's coming in to score points, and I would definitely favor him at this point, but it should be a really great match.
Caden, 3-time state champ from Oklahoma. I'd be kind of curious to know how many state 4-timers there have been in Oklahoma. So that's got to be rare ground to be on for Feller. So huge get to land him at the Night of Conflict. Excited for that matchup. With a weight advantage, I feel Caden definitely has a leg up here. But Hernandez wanted the match. He's a little heavier now too. So haven't had an opportunity to see him wrestle. So I think bumping up a little bit, we might be surprised with how big Jamie is. And then so our main event for multiple reasons, in my opinion, would be Colton Schultz versus Jared Campbell. Schultz, number 4 in the country, younger kid, going to be coming to take on Jared Campbell from Ohio, number 3 ranked kid in the country. What I like about this matchup, guys, is Schultz' Greco background, and Campbell's. Campbell is just a massive human being, I feel like. So I'm just kind of curious to see if Colton tries to go upper body here and try to throw him. I feel like we're going to have some highlights in this bout. Obviously, 2 highly ranked wrestlers, some of the best accolades that we have in the event here.
Yeah, some people might tend to think of big guys, 220, heavyweight, anybody like that as boring. I think this match will be anything but boring when you look at these two. When we first started putting this card together right away, Colton Schultz was one of the first names that popped into my mind as somebody I, really wanted us to get. I thought we had to have in this event. I just love watching this kid wrestle. He's always bringing excitement. Even in his loss at Fargo and Greco this year, he was a highlight reel, and they were throwing each other back and forth. I mean, he's always got something going on. He's got the big hair. He's a big personality. I'm a really big fan of Colton Schultz. He's, Fargo national title. He's got UW cadet national title. He's only a sophomore, but he's the number 1 overall recruit in that class of 2019. So, really great kid there. And to go out and find him a great opponent, we went out and got Jared Campbell, who's actually ranked higher than him. So this will be a fantastic matchup. Campbell's a couple times state runner-up. He won Flow Nationals. He's a top 25 kid in this senior class heading to Missouri. So even another Missouri tie here for you as he's headed to Mizzou. But, like you say, 2 of the top 4 kids in the country, 2 of the most exciting upper weights in the country. And I think it's going to be just a ton of fun.
Anytime you could bring in somebody from St. Ed's in Ohio or St. Paris Graham, I mean, there's not a lot of high schools in the country that you can say a high school and it just immediately rings like so many successful guys coming out of there. I know, Tony, you interviewed, and I think Jared said he's had like 27 straight years with an All-American out of St. Edwards, Ohio. Campbell looks like a guy that could possibly contribute to that string going forward. Colton Schultz was, honest. If I'm going to be honest, I didn't think, we could get a guy like that. I mean, we're talking number 1, number 2 in his class right now. I mean, he's right up there with Nick Ramo out of New Jersey. I mean, he's so well credentialed for his age that, I'm so happy he's coming in because it's just, he's a hammer. We use that term a lot, and Campbell's a tough guy. Like Lars said, he's headed to Missouri. So, we know how good Missouri is at finding upper weights. So I think this is just going to be a fantastic match. And as much as I like the G. Feller Hernandez match, I think this was kind of just the easy pick for the title card match.
So there you have it, the quick rundown of the matches. You can check out iawrestle.com. We've got the list of matches. You can vote, obviously. Voting has picked up today. And you can check out who you want to pick for your favorite, put a fantasy team together. I'd like to see if anybody's out there picking a fantasy team or a champions pick them. Tweet at me, tweet at iawrestle, and let us know who you're picking. Maybe we'll feature it at iawrestle.com. Again, this year, the push-out rule. I've had a few media members talk to me about it. People are fired up about it. This is the year that I think we're going to get it right. Hopefully, we learned a lot last year. Lars, I know you're pretty close with the officials. Talk to them a little bit about this. Last year, the push-out rule was enforced from the bottom position. This year, it will be only from the neutral position. Are there any other things that maybe we haven't talked about or the officials have talked about, voice some kind of concern of how this is going to get called? Is it pretty clear, cut, and dry?
No, I think it's going to be pretty clear, cut, and dry. It's only going to be from the neutral position. It's going to be kind of that similar to that freestyle push-out rule. I don't think there's going to be too many questions on it. The officials will talk with all the wrestlers beforehand and make it pretty clear of what they're expecting and how they're going to call it, and I don't think we'll see any of those issues this year.
Anything else about the night of conflict? Oh, if you are heading into town Friday night after the duel, get down on the floor. We're gonna open up the floor for a little bit so you guys can get some autographs with some of the contestants. We will have to set up for the tournament the next day of the conflict at Carver, but for VIP members, we're going to have colored posters for you to get autographed. There will be some other stuff available for you to get autographed, but come down, check it out, talk to these wrestlers. take selfies, take pictures with them. They're, make this a special event for them. We want you down on the floor talking to them and doing everything. So, but then you can head out to the social, which will be at the Hampton Inn, right across the interstate on Hayden Fry Way, I believe, is the official road that is. But Hampton Inn, be a social there, just a meet and greet. Hopefully, a lot of the D1, D2, D3 coaches, NAIA coaches will be there. We'll just kind of be hanging out, talking wrestling, and having a few drinks and some food. So check us out there, get an opportunity to meet some of us, and tell us what you'd like to see out of the website. We didn't get to some of the, there's a lot of commitment news that dropped. Obviously, you and I picked up 3, a trio of people. Dylan Shuck committed. We'll hold off on talking about recruiting news until we get done with Night of Conflict. But if you want to read any of that information, come up, check out iawrestle.com. Northern Iowa previews out. Iowa State previews out. The Iowa Hawkeye previews out. There's a ton of content right now, believe it or not, in wrestling. So if you're looking for content, obviously keep downloading the Potentially Dangerous podcast. Check out iawrestle.com. This has been Potentially Dangerous, episode 66, presented by MyHouse. 67 actually, sorry. 67 episodes of Potentially Dangerous presented by MyHouse Sports Gear. We'll see you this Friday at Carver-Hawkeye Arena. Doors open at 6. The first whistle blows at 7-ish. And make sure you tweet at us at IAWrestle, #NOC2. We're out. Till next time. Thanks for listening.